Hi Chickadees! Welcome back to my channel. My name's Leana. That's Bunny. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, we're back. We're back in black, baby. You know how we do it. And guess what we're here to continue talking about? Bam! This beauty right here. Look at her. Look at her shining. Look at all smooth and sexy. It's Obsidian, and she's got more to give. Get right into it. This is part 2 of Obsidian. If you haven't checked out part 1, make sure you go and watch that video right now. If you have, thank you. Let's get into part 2. This is what we're doing up here. You know what I'm saying? Part 2. It's Obsidian. She's here. She's happy, and she wants to do what she does best, and that is get rid of the mess and the nonsense, because she ain't got the time, okay? Neither do I. So, that's probably why I vibe so well with Obsidian. We went into what she's all about in the first video, how she is made, right? How she comes from the earth. Okay, that's fantastic. But here's the thing. She can do so much more than just cut things. She could do so much more, and we're gonna talk about it right now. So one of the things she does that Obsidian is really great with, she is so good with shadow work. Now, shadow work kind of has a history of like negative perspectives, and that's just because shadow work, people are like, oh, demons, you know, be gone. Anyway, shadow work is basically just dealing with the sides of yourself, the aspects of yourself that are not so positive. They're not the happy-go-lucky aspects of yourself. These are the aspects of yourself that secretly wish your friend at work didn't get the promotion because you feel like you deserved it more. That's the kind of shadow work side. That's the shadow self. The not so positive. Lots of people call them the evil twin, but it's not necessarily evil. Just everyone has a part of themselves that maybe they're not so proud about. And it exists with everybody. It's not just you. Don't worry about it. The shadow self and shadow work basically means you want to work on yourself. You want to make yourself better. So you have to face the truth. And that is what Obsidian does. She brings the truth. She cuts through the BS. She gets right to the point, okay? She's going to flush out all the stuff you don't need. And she's going to help you come to the reality of maybe aspects of yourself that you're not really aware of. And sometimes it's not that there's toxic people around you. It's that you are the toxic person in your own life. And that's unfortunate. But Obsidian is here to help you work through that stuff, okay? Meditate with her. She's going to get you there. And that is the gist of what she does. That's what we're going to talk about today. Kind of the less pleasant sides of the human psyche. I'm going to be telling you more of the story that we were talking about in part 1. So that means we have to get into the disclaimers, all right? Obsidian! Let's get into it. Let's continue where we left off. We are back on the couch, and Polly has just told us that Max is going to be livid with her in the text message. Sherry and I are looking at each other like, Max? Max is our friend. He's the funny guy. What do you mean he's mad at you? This is like a shocker to us because we've never seen him do anything that would suggest that he is volatile in any kind of way, right? So this is when she basically gets into everything. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that this was happening to her. Allegedly, again, all of that is alleged. The only part that I can confirm that isn't alleged is the phone call, which we will get into, okay? So she's telling us that so basically she's texting, she's like, he's mad, he's angry, and we're like, what are you talking about? And she said, and we kept trying to talk to her and get her to say, but she was just, you could tell, she started crying, you guys. She started crying. She was scared. like actually scared. And it was crazy because we were just laughing a moment ago, and now this girl is in tears on her couch crying. This is supposed to be our interview, and it's just going badly now. And so we're trying to help her out. We're trying to find out what's going on. Do you need anything? Do you need water? Do we need to call somebody? What's going on? And she basically tells us that Max has been physically and mentally, emotionally abusing her for quite some time. She tells us that she's getting these text messages that she is in the process of trying to break up with him, but he won't leave her alone, right? And they were, prior to her deciding to break up with him, they were initially trying to move in together, but a lot of things happened and she decided that that wasn't best for her. So she is trying to leave him at this point, and she's sitting on her couch telling us all of this that she's trying to do and how he's making it very difficult and how scared she is. So we're like, well, what do you mean? What's going on? And that's when she starts telling us all of these stories, alleged stories that he's done, all these things that he's done and said to her over the expanse of their relationship. And basically, you guys, he was breaking her down mentally. Every day he would do something, and it started out small. He would do something small, but he would say something like, oh, that doesn't look good on you. Or, you know, maybe you shouldn't wear that. Or, you're not the smartest, or that was stupid, or whatever the case may be. And she slowly over time started believing what he was saying. Basically, he was saying to her that she was fat, she was stupid, she was ugly, she was dumb, no one would ever love her, no one would want to be with her physically, and he was the only one that loved her and that would love her, and that no one else would be with her if she broke up with him. And that's what he was telling her consistently, systematically over time. And over time, it started wearing her down, wearing her down, wearing her down, wearing her down. And she started believing in what he was saying. And let me tell you, this girl was beautiful, okay? She was very pretty. She was a young lady. She was just a young woman that was perfectly fun. There was nothing wrong with her. She was smaller than me, so she definitely wasn't like quote unquote fat, but even still, even if she were a bigger woman, whatever the case may be, that's unacceptable to speak to people that way. It's unacceptable to treat people that way. It's negative, it's nasty, it's unnecessary, and it's harmful and hurtful to people, and especially to someone that you're supposed to be loving and supporting and caring for. But that is how he got control of her, is by little taking little tiny bits of her away from herself. And that is monstrous, and that's why he was a monster for doing that, allegedly, because I didn't see him do, well, we'll get to the phone call. Anyway, allegedly what she was saying is all alleged, because I can't confirm or deny that it did happen or didn't happen. I only had half of the story, okay? But this is all that she's telling me on the couch, okay? And this is hard for me to believe, because she's essentially talking about a friend of mine, right? And I wasn't necessarily best friends with Max, but he was definitely a friend, someone I would consider a friend, someone that I considered highly, because I don't usually befriend monsters or people like that that are just of a bad nature or character. So this was very odd for me, okay? And essentially, that's what she told us. Now, she starts getting into all of the crazy things that he did that basically led her to need to leave. But the biggest event was the most terrifying thing I've ever heard of someone going through, that I knew of the person that did it to the other person. It was insane for me to hear this. Basically what happened, she said that he invited her over to his house, and they're sitting and she's having this huge blowout argument with him, right? She's trying to leave him and all of these things. She doesn't want to be with him because he keeps hurting her, and she's scared and all of these things, and she just doesn't want to do it. And he's yelling at her and threatening her and saying, you're stupid, you stupid B word, you stupid C word, you stupid all the words you can think of. And this is all alleged. And so he's doing all this and saying all this, and they're sitting on the couch together, and at some point the conversation reaches a hiatus, and she basically just shuts down and starts crying. So she's crying on the couch, and she doesn't know what to do, and she's thinking she needs to leave him, and he gets up from the couch and walks away, right? And goes into another room. And at this point, she's not really sure what's going on, but she's so distraught, and she's just crying her eyes out. And next thing you know, after a few minutes, he comes back into the room, but he's holding a sort of suitcase in his hand. And he sits back down next to her on the couch, and he puts the suitcase on the coffee table in front of the couch. And she's still crying, but now she's kind of like looking up like, what are you doing? Like, what's that, you know? Like any reasonable person would question at that moment in time. And he tells her that she's not leaving him until he tells her that she can leave. And she's kind of just like, no, I need to leave. She's crying. And he opens the suitcase and pulls out a gun. And at this point, it's been so long since I've heard this story that I don't recall whether or not he points it at her directly, or if he kind of just holds it in his hands and starts and just talking to her, threatening to point it at her. But whatever the case may be, the gun is out of the case, and she sees the gun and she's terrified. Now he basically says to her, if you try to leave me, I'll kill you at this point. And the gun is there, and all of this is there. And allegedly, she said she agreed not to leave him, and allegedly some sexual content went down. Whether or not it was under duress or not is up for the viewers to discern, and that is as far as I can say about that. So after that incident happens, she basically was terrified for her life, and she reached a point where she knew she had to get out immediately, and that's when she started like actually breaking up with him, not going to see him, trying not to like answer his calls, these kinds of things. So she's in our apartment, and she just told us the craziest thing that we couldn't even believe it. We believed it because of how much in pain she was and how scared she was, you know. But it was just, we couldn't believe that it was our friend. I mean, who would ever think that Max had the capacity to do that to somebody, right? And just terrifying and scary, right? So basically, Sherry and I look at each other like, whoa, this has reached ahead. All right, you guys, that's it for part 2 of Obsidian. I know the story is kind of taking a while. I'm trying to keep these videos short so that we can get to everything in a short amount of time and I don't bore you. But there is one last part to the story, and that's kind of wrapping it up, the conclusion of everything, and then I'll wrap up Obsidian. Look at her, she's beautiful. I know we were talking about some crazy serious things in this video, so make sure you check out the links in the description if you need them. And I look forward to speaking with you guys again next week, next Friday. I'm going to be posting every Friday. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you're feeling it. All right. And I will see you guys next time. Wait a minute. Buns, what are you doing? Can you say hi? Stop being crazy and humping everything?